What's going on, guys? Was gonna take a second to go over my skill tree and just try to give up and coming pilots a kind of a base to follow as far as like you know skilling into things and working with limited skills. Or in my case, I'm kind of up there right now. But to give you an idea of how I kind of went about doing my skills. I've been all over the place, reset, I don't know how many times, figuring out, what I want to do, trying different things. Um, and in the end, I guess this isn't the end, but, closer to my final decisions, um, I decided on staying in the small ship categories. And my reasons for that, you'll see here when we go over my skill tree. So let's start from the beginning. Um, so I am a small ship pilot. I fly frigates, destroyers, and cruisers. Um, and I went all the way to command level expert 4. I don't have any skills in battleships or any of that stuff. I tried it. I did. I tried it out. Saw how it was. Wasn't a fan. Didn't like it. Didn't like the monotony of like writing all the time and all of that stuff. I'm more of a action oriented pilot when I am online and I fly. I want to be roams, wars, conflicts, defending space, fighting. I'm into that kind of stuff, exploration, stuff like that. So I stayed in the small ship category so I can do those things. And I feel like personally, a pilot shouldn't have to skill in all of these things across the board to do well in the game, or whatever scale you want to use to gauge doing well. I feel like you should be able to specialize in whatever you want, and there should be things in the game for you to focus on that. But we'll get into that later. But so I have all my command skills for frigates, destroyers, and cruisers up to expert level 4. Navigation, obviously, afterburner and micro warp drive super important for small ship pilots. So those things are level 4. I don't really use engine operation or the jump drive thing because I don't do that stuff, and engine operation doesn't really help on those smaller ships the way it does larger ones. So kind of got out of that. But let's go to the next page. Shield operation is expert level 3, and shield hardening expert level 3. Some of the things I'm working on. Don't really use remote stuff because they refuse to release any faction remote armor stuff. So I'm not messing with that until we get full stuff, no skills and everything else. These are the two I use. Same thing for armor, level 3, and of course defense skills are expert 4. And then you go to the engineering. It's also expert 4 for frigates, destroyers, and cruisers. Uh, Electronic warfare, propulsion jamming, which for bubbles, and signal disruption, all level 4. Targeting management is level 4, and expert sinusoidal field technology for light and beacons to Sino in capital ships. So I'm a Sino pilot, Covop Sino pilot. I don't have any skills in the fleet support because I don't fly battle cruisers anymore, so kind of don't need them. Yes, command ships for destroyers can be used for that, but it's just not a big thing right now, so I haven't put any points into it because it's also one of the things that is limited. You can't get the faction modules. You're limited to Mark 9, so I'm not carrying any skills in anything that is limited to Mark 9 for no reason. So we're gonna move on to the next section, which is my weapons. No laser skills. I don't do lasers, but I do railguns. Small railgun operation and upgrade, level 4 expert, and medium expert. I use railguns quite a bit on a lot of my builds. Um, flying, my signature H-Tron interceptor in combat, using the small rail guns. Use the thorax a lot for interdiction, Celestis for covops and interdiction. So you can use a lot of railgun skills for those ships, and I do use those. I'm heavy into missiles, level 4 expert on medium and on small, medium, and now large, heading into the large category because I do fly the bombers, so I use large missiles for the bombers. And so because I want to blow up battleships and stations and capital ships and stuff like that with small ships. So you need large skills for the bombers and medium skills for the level 1 bombers, which I also use in combat. And then I have drone skills, which is also, I have at level 4 for small and medium, still training. And then, of course, drone skill, still training to at level 4. I don't have any skills in cannons and lasers because I just feel like they're, me personally, this is just me, I just feel like they're too into one thing. You're either shield damage or armor damage, where real guns and drones and missiles kind of do a wider spread. And so that's why I've skilled into those. That, of course, this to me is stupid. This to me is stupid. I don't manufacture ships at all, but this is a requirement to open up slots, which some people disagree, some people agree. This to me is bad design. This doesn't make a lot of sense. Some people say, well, it's only so many skill points. Uh, Ounces equal pounds. You can just put those, whatever those skill points are, into something else if there was a skill for just opening the slots up. This having to skill into something you don't even use to open slots up to manufacture things is foolish, but this is where we at. So you have to have to get at least, 5 slots to manufacture things. You have to have frigate manufacturing and destroyer manufacturing because it gives you 2 additional max manufacturing jobs, even though you don't build ships, even though barely anyone builds ships because industry is in such a bad place. So you have to do that. And if you want a bunch of slots, you have to go in all these other ones to get slots for stuff you don't use. So ran over, but I just think that's stupid. It needs to be redesigned. Um, so I don't do any of the ore reprocessing because I'm not a masochist, but I do use the same thing I tell you guys in my writing. I actually do that stuff. Scrap metal reprocessing. I process scrap to make a whole lot of other stuff. And expert level 4 will give you like 60%, I believe, at the end of everything. So you can process scrap, right? So there you go. And I do use that skill. I've been off and on with it. I've had it, not had it, had it, not had it, and I just decided on keeping it because it is very useful. So next, um, no corporation skills. I don't own a corporation or run a corporation. I am a part of a corporation, but I do have trade and accounting skills, expert level 3. Why do I have that? Well, because you get so many marketing slots and bonuses and advantages to creating contracts, and like I never run out of slots for contracts for different things to make money. And so I actually use these skills quite a bit. um I never I make contracts all the time. Market orders, I think I'm at like 54. And then you get percentage market broker taxes, fees taken off, and all that. It all adds up. And when you're selling stuff on contract and on market as much as I am, these actually come in handy a lot, especially for like bulk orders. You can do it's just, it opens the door and you never have to worry about running out or holding yourself up or slowing down from selling stuff, which I do quite a bit of. uh Invention principles, because of the space I'm in, i use I do Caldori invention principles and Galente because I live in that space primarily. This is where I get this is the debris and stuff I get the most of in this space. So I use that stuff to reverse engineer blueprints for ships and sell blueprints and make my own blueprints so I can pay guys to make my ships and stuff like that. So I do have those skills. And something I don't have yet, but I am going to get into is I'm already set up to start training next the dead invention principles to go ahead and start making, B types and stuff like that to make extra money. I want to get into making those mods here going forward. And I think I do enough in space content and just having materials and stuff to start kind of getting into that. So I plan to do that. So that going forward. Okay. And then this has been Expert 5 forever. Planet management has been Expert 5 for a long time. Um, and so this is really super useful. I have a pause in system. I've had it for God knows how long. Um, and it gives you a lot of arrays to do a lot of different things. I mainly use it for, you know, harvesting PI, selling PI on the market, filling guys what guys needs orders for stuff, or hey, I'm looking for this, I'll have it, or I'll change an array to it to get it for them. They give me X for it. I make money that way. I also use that stuff to make, drones and all kinds of other stuff. So it comes in handy. And it's just a ISK maker. Helps me build things to make more ISK. So exploration, expert for hacking and space exploration technology. Because of course, in order to do exploration, you gotta have pretty good skills. And then, of course, the chips. And then I have skills in the expert info morph synchronizing, which gives you right now, like expert 3. I think I'm at 7 places I can have set. I got like 6 places set, and I can kind of clone jump to for combat, roam, stuff like that. And I have ships spread all over the place to do that kind of stuff. So, currently training missile skills to expert 4. Finish those skills off, and then a few other things to expert 4, as you saw, that I want to train up and get done to expert 4, and just kind of I've made up my mind mostly on most of my skills. So just finishing things off and that long trek to expert 5 on a lot of this stuff. Um, I don't do big ships. So stand in a small category. And in order to make ISK, those industrial skills are really coming in handy and have been for a long time. Because as a small ship pilot, when most of your ISK making, you don't make the same ISK as ratting PVE battleships or even battle cruisers, or capital ships, like they milk ISK, right? But most of my ISK, when I'm not out doing other stuff like PvP, you don't make a ton of ISK PvPing. You can, it's a certain way to do it. I don't just Me personally, I don't primarily just go out to get in fights. I do, but I don't, right? So loot, uh, I loot grids, steal people's stuff. If we going on a roam and we take out a rattlesnake or something like that, and the anom is still there, I'm grabbing stuff, toting it off, flying, dropping it off to NPC stations, coming back later, picking it up, selling that stuff. A lot of the stuff is in space that I can't. I don't usually get those particular mods or materials, so I'll definitely be on looking out for that. And then you do loot splits on roams and stuff, and I'll get stuff from that. If you kill stuff in home space, I'll get stuff from that. Stealing PI. I have ships in other regions of space that I use, Amicus and stuff like that, where I'll go pirating about, stealing loot and PI and stuff like that. And I've gotten pretty good at that kind of stuff, and so it's always been my play style. Even just having Dictor bubble ships up in certain areas, and then just kind of go hunting and catch other ships and steal all this stuff. And so piracy more so than just I want to get in the fight. If I want to just get in the fight, go to Tama and just yell in local long enough, and somebody will come and blow you up. I'm not big on her whole 1v1 scene and stuff. It's about making this. The game is about progress as far as making money. Game is about whatever you want it to be. It's a sandbox, but that's kind of how I do it. And while I'm doing that stuff, I'll have things building, right? Um, I build rigs, blueprints, drones, um, nanocores when I can. If I get the materials stacked up enough, I'll build nanocores and sell that stuff. I was doing a ton of faction warfare, and getting stuff from that, and was looking forward to kind of getting the, where is it at? You can, not this one. Yeah, the faction tech. I was kind of gonna go at one point. I was just gonna do the Mordu's Legion and SOE principles for invention and build those blueprints and stuff and sell those. But faction warfare right now is really hard to get a match. They need to do some stuff with the whole faction warfare war games. I'm sorry, faction war games to get people, I guess, back into it, interested into it, doing it more often. Maybe we can start a faction war game Saturday thing where it's open all day and a bunch of us just go in there and have at it. I don't know if people will participate in that. Maybe we can get that going. I don't know, but it's good for getting, the points so you can get the debris, so you can get these blueprints made, and the blueprints do sell for those factions pretty high, which is good. I mean, all of this stuff, if you can get the debris for it from like doing special anoms and in spaces and stuff. And I may get into doing all of these, skilling and all of these at one point, right? Because I'm pretty high up there on most of my skills that I want, and I don't plan on going too much else fresh as far as ships. I have no foreseeable plans to go into any bigger ships, so I may go into that stuff and start doing like the faction tech stuff. But the Mortals Legion, the dead invention principles, the SOE ship invention principles. I was thinking something I was looking at going into because over the thing about these skills is you make ISK over time, right? Now, as far as the Empire specific skills, I only have the Caldari and the Valente because I get that mostly, right? That's the most of what you'll run into. I don't plan on building like capital rigs and mods and BPs and stuff like that, but um, most of the stuff I run into is just in this space because I live there and I can get a lot of that stuff, so I'll do that. But the faction stuff is stuff you come across from doing all kinds of different, content as far as clearing anoms, special anoms, and stuff like that, and going in the in space, which I do a lot of. You get that stuff and the reprocessing. If I reprocess a lot of the loot, I'll get a lot of the stuff, the components to build nanocores and stuff like that. And that stuff sells if you can build, a couple of nanocores, which I wish there was a skill for it, but that's just me. People don't agree, maybe, but it's maxed out at like 63% when you build that stuff. So it's really not good. You miss a lot of times because of the percentage. If you explore like I do and you get those other mods, you can use those blue and gold rings for like increasing the time and percentages and lessening the materials you need, stuff like that. And so save those up, use those when you're doing the nanocore building, and you can build the recruit and nanocores and I think the veteran nanocores, and if you get enough of them, you can sell them in contracts, and I make it doing that. So, but all that stuff builds in the background while I'm doing PvP or farming when I'm not doing PvP or whatever. I don't do a whole lot of ratting, but I will do like I focus mostly on like using cruisers to do special anoms and in spaces. And I'll get a fleet and we'll go do that stuff, and then I'll join roams and do PvP and stuff like that. And we'll get while I'm doing that, these things are cooking because some of these things, like when you get enough materials and you be like building rigs and stuff, it'll stack up, and so you'll build like tier 2 shield rigs or whatever, and it'll be like I don't know 10 of them, and it'll take 11 hours, 12 hours, or however long it takes. So you're not thinking about that kind of stuff. It's just in the background doing this thing, and I got the timer on the screen, and it just lets you know. And then when you get enough of that stuff, man, you can sell it in contracts, sell bundles, stuff like that. You just come up with creative, different ways to do things, and so that's what I do. And so that's some of the stuff that I'm gunning for and looking into, and it keeps me from having to rat. I don't want to have to rat. You know, I don't. It's don't even get me started because the video will be way too long. But it's so annoying that NetEase just sees the game that way and just you should just do this. And anything you try to do outside of the box of that, they try to kill it or change it. So I don't know. We're dealing with people who only see the game one way and they only apparently listen to a certain group of players. But I just wanted to go over that kind of stuff and maybe give you guys some ideas, you know, up and coming smaller ship pilots who actually enjoy smaller ships. There's ways to do it where you can make certain things and utilize the ships to your advantage. Like even I'll haul all of that stuff to a place or make a sale or and just load it all up. A lot of those items are smaller items that you can pack into an Imicus and co-opt your way over to somewhere else for somebody and contract it there, and you know you make it that way. And guys pay, and I've had billionaires contracts, 3 billionaires contracts. I actually make quite a money stacks up quite a bit doing that over time. If you get into the right trade channels and stuff like that, you can actually sell a lot of stuff that's relatively small and that people want. Like even making integrated rigs from exploring, you get enough of those made, and you know you can sell them. Uh, give guys discounts, and that stuff will fly off the shelf. You know, so don't sleep on those particular sets of industry skills. And I'm starting to get into that stuff, and I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to skilling. I'll skill something expert before I go to something else. So that's how I do it. But when you first starting off, you can skill like the 1 through 4s. It's the 1 through 4 training kind of mindset, right? You go and you do all the ones, and then all the twos, and then all the threes, and then all the fours, and it's a little bit faster. At least it's perspective wise, it's a little bit faster for me that way. But I'm at the point now where I don't have to really think about that kind of stuff, and I put something in the burner and let it skill, and I have enough skills to play. But if you're up and coming, you're T8, T9, or just getting a T10, you can kind of do it that way and look at some of your skills, and you don't just have to. I know people are going to tell you to, but you don't just have to become a ratter, and you don't just have to get into battle cruisers and then go to battleships and then go to capital ships. And if that's the path you want to take, I'm not knocking it. Do it, but you don't have to if that's not what you're into. You can stay in. You can honestly stay in smaller ships and make. Man, I got a daredevil that I can literally. I've finished like in spaces with a daredevil, lower tier, because the daredevil is just so OP. Took a little bit longer than I like, but I actually did it just to see, and I was able to go in there, and some of the rats were already killed, and I finished it off and stole all the loot in my daredevil. So you can, you should be able to, if you're a crafty pilot and you're just dedicated to doing stuff like that, you can do a lot of things, and make ISK. So you don't have to just be force. And I think that's what happened to a lot of players is they saw the easy track, and that of course everyone tells them this is the fast way to make everything and pile up ISK and this, that, and the other. And they just ended up stuck in ratting 4 or 5 hours a day mode and just losing blingy battleships, and some of this space is really not defended. And so people have just gotten stuck in I'm gonna this is a idle AFK game. I'm gonna just rat. That's how Hossack Islands are so popular, because you can just AFK rat mindlessly. You just got a pad or a game or computer somewhere in the corner, just auto and everything. And at that point, you're not even playing the game, in my opinion. So I'm not into that. I'd much rather do it this way. And I just kind of wish NetEase understood that and didn't try to force us down a track toward bigger ships because they feel like they make more money off whales. The thing about that is, like, a lot of smaller ship pilots don't make a lot of ISK, right? The majority of us don't make a lot of ISK, and so we pay subscriptions. So it's like what Benzie was saying, how do you not count that money? Like, what are guys spending? What are you wailing on in this game? So much so to, like, NetEase just kind of overlooks a chunk of the player base to babysit you. I don't get it. But, I won't rant about that right now. I just want to kind of go over these skills and give guys some ideas. You can literally make a ton of it just being a loot pirate, honestly, and cheap Covop ships. I got a Covop Explorer that I, stuck a bunch of cargo rigs on. I haul stuff in. It's like 6,300 cubic meters. of space, and if you can fly around filling that up with other people's PI and loot, probably make some decent isk. Especially like you float off into some in spaces and guys have left something or their ship has died and they're going to get another one. Oh man, I caught a lick one time, like almost a billion isk because they lost the ship and it was like one rat left. I stole everything. So I mean, stuff like that happens. And so you can just find a different way to play. You don't have to be stuck somewhere in a hole just right into your eyes bleed. But all right, I'll holler at you guys later. Fly aggressive.